The night he stepped into her life was quiet in a way that felt heavy. The kind of silence that comes after too many disappointments. She had not planned to open her door to anyone again. Not after years of locking her heart from the inside. Yet, in that fragile moment, when her voice dropped low and she admitted she hadn't let a man in for 2 years, something shifted. The single dad standing there carried his own invisible weight. And neither of them knew that this hesitant step forward would quietly change everything they believed about love, healing, and second chances. Before the story pulls you deeper, take a moment. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that broken people can still build something beautiful together, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Kind Soul Stories. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. He was known in his neighborhood as the tired but gentle father who always walked a little too fast, as if afraid life might take something else from him if he slowed down. His mornings began before sunrise, packing lunches with careful precision, tying shoelaces with hands that still remembered how to hold a wedding ring. His wife had been gone for 3 years, taken by an illness that did not care about promises or young children. Since then, his world had narrowed to school runs, night shifts, and the soft breathing of his child asleep beside him during storms. Love, romance, even the idea of being wanted by someone else had faded into something abstract, like a story he once read, but no longer believed applied to him. She lived only a few blocks away, though their lives had never crossed until fate grew impatient. From the outside, her apartment looked ordinary, but inside it was carefully arranged to avoid reminders of the past. 2 years earlier, she had survived a relationship that hollowed her out slowly, teaching her that trust could be used like a weapon. She learned how to smile politely, how to keep conversations light, how to end nights alone without feeling lonely. Friends said she was strong now, healed even, but strength for her meant control, and healing meant never letting anyone close enough to hurt her again. Their first real encounter was unremarkable on the surface, the kind of moment most people would forget. A spilled bag of groceries, a child's drawing falling onto the pavement, an awkward exchange of apologies. Yet something lingered after that, a softness in the way he listened, a calm steadiness in how he helped without expecting gratitude. She noticed how his eyes always flicked toward his child first, as if the rest of the world existed only after that silent check. He noticed the way she kept her distance, even while being kind, as though an invisible line circled her body. Over the following weeks, they crossed paths more often. Never intentionally, never planned. Sometimes it was a shared elevator ride, sometimes a quiet hello at the corner cafe. There were no sparks, no dramatic moments, just a gradual easing of tension neither of them realized they carried. For him, she became a reminder that not every woman looked at him with pity or curiosity about his loss. For her, he became proof that not every man demanded more than she was ready to give. The challenge for him was learning how to imagine a future beyond survival. He struggled with guilt, the sense that moving forward meant leaving something behind. Late at night, after his child fell asleep, he would sit alone and wonder if loving again would dishonor the woman he lost. He feared introducing change into a life that already felt fragile, worried that hope itself was too dangerous. Her struggle was quieter, but just as consuming. She battled the instinct to retreat whenever she felt seen. When he asked simple questions about her day, she felt exposed as though kindness was a test she might fail. She told herself she didn't need anyone, that independence was safer, but her heart reacted differently. It softened without permission, remembering what it felt like to be understood without explanation. The night everything shifted, did not arrive with drama. There was no storm, no crisis, just a power outage that left the building wrapped in darkness. He knocked on her door because his phone battery was dead and his child was frightened by the sudden blackness. She hesitated longer than she meant to, hand resting against the door, heart racing as if she were standing at the edge of something irreversible. When she finally opened it, the hallway light flickered back on. And in that moment, she surprised herself by admitting how long it had been since she allowed a man into her space, into her life. Inside her apartment, the air felt different, charged with vulnerability. He did not step forward too quickly. He respected the invisible boundaries she had built, and that restraint spoke louder than any declaration ever could. His child sat quietly on the couch, trusting in a way only children can. And that trust cracked something open in her chest. She saw not just a man, but a father, a survivor, someone who knew loss intimately, yet still showed up with gentleness intact. From that night on, change came slowly, like sunlight creeping across a wall. They shared meals without labeling them as dates. They talked about fears without demanding solutions. He began to imagine laughter returning to his home, a different kind of warmth filling the spaces grief had left cold. She began to notice that her apartment no longer felt like a fortress, but a place where life could happen again. There were setbacks, of course. He pulled away once, overwhelmed by the weight of his feelings, afraid he was moving too fast. She nearly shut the door for good after misinterpreting his silence as rejection. But instead of retreating into old patterns, they faced the discomfort. He learned that honoring the past did not mean sacrificing the future. She learned that vulnerability did not automatically lead to pain. The most powerful change came not in grand gestures, but in ordinary moments. The way she started leaving her door unlocked when she expected him. The way he introduced her to his child, not as a replacement, but as someone important. The way laughter returned to both their lives, hesitant at first, then free. Friends noticed the difference. They stood taller, smiled more easily, carried less invisible weight. As seasons passed, their bond deepened into something steady and resilient. Love did not arrive as a dramatic rescue, but as a shared rebuilding. He did not save her from loneliness, and she did not heal him of grief. Instead, they walked alongside each other, choosing patience over fear, honesty over comfort. In doing so, they reshaped what love meant to them, not as perfection, but as presence. Near the end of this journey, she realized that letting him in had not erased her past, but it had given it context. Pain no longer defined her story. For him, loving again did not diminish what he had lost. It honored it by proving his heart was still capable of growth. Together, they showed the two broken timelines could align into something whole. If this story is touching something deep inside you, if it reminds you of your own fears or hopes, please take a moment now to like this video, share it with someone who believes in healing, and subscribe to Kind Soul Stories. Your engagement tells us these stories matter. And before this story closes, leave a comment sharing whether you believe love can arrive quietly and still change everything. In the end, what changed her life was not just that she let a man in after 2 years of solitude. It was that she let herself believe again. What changed his life was not just finding someone new, but rediscovering the part of himself that still trusted tomorrow. Sometimes the most powerful transformations begin not with passion or promises, but with a hesitant step across a threshold and the courage to stay.